Hi there, I just wanted to do a quick review on this Homelabs dehumidifier that I had purchased about 2.5 years ago. Unfortunately, I am on my way to the dump with it this morning. It has kicked the bucket. And when I had purchased this about 2.5 years ago, it cost me maybe about $350. It does have the pump function. It's, I believe, the 4,500 square foot model, and I had purchased it on Amazon. At the time, there were a lot of really good reviews. Like if you did a quick Google search, you'd get a number of these articles that would like rate, here's the best 5 of 2022 or something like that. Here's the top 10, and this was one of the ones that was top rated. When you go on Amazon, there was a ton of reviews. People were like, "Hey, it's great, it's great." If you look down at the 1 to 2 star reviews, it seemed like there were a few people that had them that had issues where they kicked the bucket right after the warranty went. And, with how great the reviews were and the specs of it were pretty impressive compared to the other models at the time. The price was also good compared to the other models at the time. Now, I bought a house, and my house has about a 1,200 square foot basement. It was pretty musty. I had an old 12-year-old I want to say it was like a General Electric dehumidifier that was a little smaller than this one, and it just wasn't powerful enough to really suck up all the water and get rid of the musty smell in our basement. So I went ahead and I upgraded to this model, and one of the selling points on this model was the fact that it has a pump. So the pump was a big thing for me. I paid the extra $50, and it was a pretty good feature for it. It has a few other features. You can look that up, on the manufacturer specifications. But here's just kind of, it's got a comfort, which is kind of like a comfortable level of humidity. I want to say, I don't remember, maybe around 50 or something like that. I never really used that one. The filter was really easy to change. I usually had left it on either continuous or kind of like you could set it to a humidity level that you wanted. I really wanted my basement extra dry to prevent mold and stuff, so I left it down around 35 and left it on all the time. It would shut off automatically once it kind of got to about 35% humidity. Now it did keep the basement fairly, I would say probably in the 30s, the higher 30s for humidity level, but that was in our laundry room. Now, if you went a couple, a different section of our, partially finished basement, one of the other rooms, I did have a flood detector, like a little probe on the ground that also had a humidity feature, and it was running more like 40s, maybe 50%. So even though this would register around, 38, 40%, the other room might be 45, 50%. So it did a good job overall. So that was one of the pros. And now here's where we get to the cons of this one. The pump lasted only a little over a year. It was probably about 1.5 years, and it just stopped working. Which was really a bummer, because that was one of the biggest selling points for me. The other thing was, and this was what finally, I think, got it to kick the bucket, even within the first year, you would hit, let's say, the power button to turn it off, and it would still sound like it was running, but it was an odd buzzing noise. Sometimes you'd turn it on and it would be like this buzzing, humming noise. It sounded like it was running, but it didn't sound quite right. So I would turn it off, turn it back on, it would work fine. When it was making the buzzing and humming noise, it stopped sucking up any water. It could run all day and it wouldn't suck up any water. So when the pump gave out, I went back to manually emptying the bucket. Well, around the 2-year mark, it started having more issues where it progressively got worse with this humming and buzzing noise, where there were days that, because I was manually emptying it, I'd get home from work or go, before nighttime, I would go to turn it off and empty the bucket, and the bucket would be dry, even though it'd been running all day. And at this point, it's about 2.5 years, and it has finally, every time I powered off, when it was doing that buzzing noise, I'd unplug it. It'd still be making the buzzing and humming noise for several seconds after I unplugged it. Plug it back in, but not powered on, it's still making the buzzing and humming noise. And now it's at the point where I can't even get it to reliably even power on normally. It just does this humming and buzzing noise without sucking up any water. So needless to say, I'm taking it to the dump. And as I mentioned, I just wanted to share this because there really wasn't any you know, the reviews, I question on Amazon whether people were buying these and giving an immediate review, because it does work. It worked very well in the first year or so that I had it. But as soon as the warranty was up, started having issues. And when the pump did go out, I did contact customer service. Unfortunately, the best they could do with this was to offer me a 15% off coupon for another one. And at this time, I know it's only a sample size of one. You know, there's a few other reviews on there, like I said, on Amazon, where people had mentioned that it also kicked the bucket on them right after the warranty went out, and they also confirmed they also got a 15% off coupon offer. You know, unfortunately, in this time and age, I do wonder if this is just kind of the new normal with most of these dehumidifiers, that they may only last 2 years. You know, a year and a half, 2 years, which is unfortunate because, like I said, this was about $300. I really can't see myself buying another one of their products, even with 15% off, and knowing that it possibly could just kick the bucket again another year and a half, 2 years. You know, that's just me. But anyways, like I said, I wish there were more of these reviews. I wish there was more YouTube reviews, because most of the reviews were very positive, and that's kind of what steered me to buy this. But now that I've owned it, you know, I will be going back to my old humidifier for now that has been kind of tried and true. It's about 12 years old, and I haven't used it consistently over the last 12 years, but it's been running strong. Not as, you know, efficient, not as powerful as this one, but I'm still kind of at a loss for, you know, and still kind of trying to decide on what my next steps will be with replacing this one. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed my review, and hopefully it's helpful with your consideration of purchasing your next dehumidifier. Thank you.